Oh, Wagwan family. Kuni sana. Happy Tuesday. Yeah, Karipuni is another is Caterpillar playing right here on the media of the 21st century, featuring the one and only, the OG Calligraph Jones. The name of the jam is Avengers Cyphers. And of course, hope you guys are having an easy Tuesday morning, this amazing Tuesday. And of course, welcome to another episode of the Pan African Bliss. My name is Jovi. I almost said the Africa Today show. But yes, Karibuni sana to another episode of the Pan African Bliss. And of course, today we're going to be having a very interesting discussion again, talking about how staying silent around corruption is not minding your business, but literally it's a surrender to corruption itself, and literally a conversation, I'd say, backed by all the discussions I have aligned. We're going to be talking about what is happening currently with Kenyan TikTok. Yesterday, I was trying to find videos of the incident that happened on Sunday, like where we had people were shot, literally several people were left injured. Still, the numbers is not indicated. I believe the mainstream media is trying as much as they can to hide this because of the current regime and for people not to actually see the police brutality that is still very much active in our country. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be discussing about what is happening in Nigeria, as literally we know Nigeria in 2050 is supposed to be one of the world's biggest economies, but that's a big discussion because if you look at the current state of Nigeria and then how are they going to achieve this is actually a very serious topic. We're going to be discussing also how the youths are being mobilized by Ruto to also chant how he should come back to being a president. As a matter of fact, we've seen other people being paid, and it literally goes back to also what I was discussing yesterday, because he doesn't want to see people with real influence literally campaigning or talking about him not coming back as a president. Much more talking about development. We're going to be discussing about what is happening in Burkina Faso, where they have launched their own electrical vehicles. And literally, we're going to be seeing how this is going to locally support their economy and, of course, boost their economy in a big way. And looking at also how other African countries, literally, how can we do this and embrace this? Because actually, Burkina Faso itself talks about how we Africa receive cheap, like literally old cheap cars that are imported in Africa, and we tend to brag about this a lot, and which goes back to a lot of question: why do our presidents they don't buy cars here? They have to import literally new cars all the way from other countries, and how we need to actually normalize this, and much more coming from also as we talk about Nigeria, how the US is granting a military base to Nigeria. And of course, we know this is about the Alliance Sahel state, and we're going to be discussing that as we continue. But before we get into that, a quick reminder to get yourself the organic supplements we have on our BHFN sports page. You can download the app on the Google Play Store, and once you have the application on your phone, it's very easy. You just literally leave the radio segment on your upper left. You have 3 lines. Click onto that and you'll literally be able to explore the page itself and what it contains. But for now, I'd love to share some amazing beetroot and the benefit it comes with, but that's not the only supplement we have. We have multivitamin, ashwagandha, beetroot, we have sea moss, shea butter, and so much more. But for now, get yourself some beetroot.
Beetroot, nature's powerhouse. Packed with vitamins, antioxidants and nitrates, it's known to support heart health, boost stamina and improve blood circulation. Our beetroot is naturally grown and harvested at peak ripeness. The roots are cleaned, dried and finely ground to preserve their rich nutrition content, giving you all the benefits in one pure form. Add 1 teaspoon of beetroot powder to your juice, smoothie or water, or take it in capsule form as recommended by your healthcare provider. Beetroot helps enhance endurance, lower blood pressure, and keep you feeling energized and balanced all day. Fuel your body with the natural power of beetroot. Stay strong, stay healthy. Go get this product at blackhotfirenetwork.com at the Sports and Nutrition Store.
90 cents. And as we start, I want to start with this amazing video here, literally of something that I'd say, again, we know about, but still, let's gain some knowledge, maybe for people who might not know that actually some people, or white people, majority, minority, are born with tails. Let me share this. Literally, it's actually, you think about this, you really like, ew, this is and then you find people really sleeping with these creatures is really crazy. But take a look at
majority of them are born with tails, literally, and they get it cut off as babies. And
I wouldn't say the majority.
Not the majority.
There's a number of them.
There's a percent.
It's a percentage of them, but yeah. But you got to understand that the way to take a person over is take the mind first, right? So once you control the mind, the body will follow.
Yes.
They don't want you to know who you are. They like, Russia, Vladimir Putin.
Yes.
He opened up that vault.
Yes.
Seen that picture of Jesus?
The black Russian.
And the black,
that shit didn't get on the news.
And the Black Mary.
Yeah, quickly. You know what I'm saying? Even the president of Venezuela said these exact words. The people in Israel right now are not the chosen people of the Bible. They know who the chosen people of the Bible are. It's us.
The majority of them are.
Yep. So literally goes back to how these people don't like us actually knowing the truth about their true nature. Like there's so much hidden when it comes to, especially us Black people, I'd say, the narrative about us as for the longest time be true existence if it really makes sense. So it's really, really crazy, literally. But sadly, also, I'd say this is information literally most of the African people are not aware of. Because okay, so I'm back. Sorry, we're having issues with our connectivity. Our internet is really, really buffering, but I hope audible and you guys can hear me um, correctly. But yes, we were talking about how these people have lied to us about history so much that they don't like us knowing the truth about where they came from, and that is literally openly when you meet into these videos. It's nice to share and educate ourselves. But as we continue, literally yesterday I was talking about the incident that took place that is in Kenya, that is some place called Kitengela, literally where we had one of our opposition party literally campaigning. This is not really a campaign, but a really well organized gathering, like Keith would say it literally, right? And what happened is we had people who were shot. The police literally, again, they used force on people by using also live bullets. The number of the people confirmed dead, it's not yet confirmed. Like I said, the mainstream media actually is hiding this from people. The videos have been erased, and that is exactly what I want to talk about. Because yesterday, if you can remember, for those who are tuned in, I tried to actually I tried to find videos on TikTok that could show case which they were previously there on Sunday, but I couldn't find them yesterday, of the people, the bodies being carried of the people who are shot actually. So currently, the reports this morning is that TikTok literally did delete at least 580,000 videos by Kenyan creators, violating its community guidelines platform in a new report which was given actually this particular morning. So they're saying that the report, which covers the data from July to September 2025, details the procreative steps TikTok has taken to identify and remove content that violates its community guidelines, ensuring a positive experience for its global community. In the third quarter of 2025, TikTok removed more than 580,000 videos. So remember, actually it was 500 at the beginning. Then now we have 580 580,000 videos, and that is in Kenya for violating community guidelines. Of these, 99% of them were procreatively removed before anyone reported them, and 94% were removed within 24 hours of posting. Additionally, the third quarter of 2025 saw around 90,000 live sessions interrupted for not following platform content guidelines, representing 1% of live stream in this time. Exactly. Actually, for us, I'd say even our TikTok, we get restrictions every now and then. That's why personally I don't go live on TikTok anymore, because you can't talk anything political on TikTok without you being restricted. They're gonna tell you you're violating the rules and all that, and they take your live down. Keith himself also, he has tried literally a couple of times to go live on his TikTok, but the minute he just starts talking about these people or the situations that are happening, the live session is completely taken down. So this actually goes back to us understanding how we don't control these platforms, and it goes back to when will Africans, especially we Africa, when will we create something of our very own? When will we be able to build platforms that are supported and backed by us? Do we really need to rely on these people who are spying on us, collecting our information? Because that's what they do. Actually, that's what they do. Collect our information, our data, and especially right now with the AI, we can literally say people should expect more of, I'd say, unwillingly, literally, because I remember actually it was even recently in Kenya, people were warned about using this generating images, using their images and generating some AI images, and how this is actually you giving away your personal information, as if they have not been taking our personal information for the longest time. Of course they have. So literally, again, they're saying globally, TikTok has removed a total of 534,000, literally I'd say a total of 2 million, right, videos during the quarter of 2025, representing about 0.7 of all content uploaded on the platform. And of this content, 99% were procreatively removed before being reported, while 94% were removed within 24 hours again. And this is the one of the highest rates ever recorded by TikTok for rapid content removal. And through TikTok's continued investment in AI moderation technology, a record of 91% of this violative content is now removed via automated technologies, ensuring consistency and speed. So that is what currently is happening in the 254, and I think that's a clear answer of why you can't find videos literally currently. If you want to share any information, or if you upload actually any video to do, which I believe their guidelines, it's anything to do with politics, it's not going to go through. So that is what currently is happening in the 254. But on the other end, still with that, we're having the youths who are actually again being mobilized by Ruto's regime to chart two terms. So as much as we're seeing literally the regulation of you can't post anything political, you can't criticize the government, we also have on this other end the youth, also some who are being lied to. Of course, it's campaign season. People want the money. People will gather up and chant that two-term word for Ruto to become a president again, but it's not what majority of the people would like. Just like I shared, I think last week, we saw that actually a very big percentage of the country are suffering. And this is, if you talk about actually how this system is actually controlled, when you look at tribalism and how big it plays a role in dividing people, many tribes are suffering, and it's less tribes that are actually benefiting from their own leaders. Ruto himself said, when you become a president, you don't develop your own country first. You go develop where you come from. And that is all, again, tribalistically based, according to me. So this is actually sad, because this is one among the Kenyans, I'd say, top young people who are actually on the front line during the 2024 demonstration, and within time he was bought out because actually he had a very big, I'd say, influence on the young people. One among the youths who actually led on the 2024 demonstration, properly organized, his name is Kasamuel. I don't know if I always pronounce his name, Kasamuel, I don't know. Kasamuel, I always call him Ada, so long as I've pronounced the name. But this is one among the youths actually who were there demonstrating for our bills not to be passed, the taxes not being raised. But now we're seeing, actually, this is crazy, man. It's poverty is the enemy again. Poverty is the enemy. The fact that we can be easily turned this way, it's very, very alarming. The fact that actually people can be bought this way, it's very, very alarming, and very, very, very alarming. That's the word I actually say. But this is one among what he was doing, telling the people. I'm going to translate.
Na sisi mtu yeyote mwenye ajaribu kuleta hii divisive narrative, huo ni mtu mwenye hata prosper. Sisi kama vijana tumeungana Nairobi yote, na hii message tutapeleka Kenya mzima tukisema.
So he has declared that all the young people in the country will support President William Ruto in the 2027 general election. He also said that the youth constituency is increasingly aligning itself with Ruto's leadership, citing that he described as ongoing reforms and engagements with young people across the country. He framed the backing of a collective position driven by the need for community and sustained implementation of government programs. The remarks come amid the heightened politics realignment ahead of the 2027 vote, with leaders across the party lines stepping up outreach to the youth demographic, a critical voting block. So literally,
kwamba hatutatumika tena. Never again will the youth of Kenya be used. Wewe kama unataka kupeleka vijana maandamano, compensate sisi wenye tumeuliwa kwanza. Wewe upeleke watoto wako. Yesu kwa umeficha watoto wako majuu, alafu unataka sisi miili yetu na miili ya vijana wa getu. Sisi tukimalizia pia tunasema mambo ya police brutality. Haiwezi kuwa vijana wamejitolea. Vijana ndio wameshikilia serikali, vijana ndio wamekisha kuna peace, na hawa vijana mazee wanafuatwa kila saa. Yaani kijana huwezi hata tembea, huwezi weka dread yako, huwezi hata kuwa na kitu yako kidogo bila sunset kujaribu kunini. Serikali vile sisi tumeamua tutashikilia serikali. Tunasema serikali pia ishikilie vijana. The message in Nairobi and Kenya is simple.
Yeah, so literally just bunch of stupidity. And I love the people actually on the comment section who I'd say majority are the youths. Number one, some are laughing at him. Some are asking, which youths are you talking about? Because we're not on your side. We want Ruto gone, literally. And I'd say most of the people are saying this again, if it's not for the money, like because it's campaign season, people want the money. And of course, these politicians always have money to give, which is our stolen funds again. Nothing done with our collected taxes, just literally stolen, pocketed. And they yet come to tell us, you know, we can give you just 200 for you to come and vote. As if your vote is going to make a change, which is a very big lie. Your vote is not going to make a change anywhere. It's a very big lie. It's a very big lie. But we shall see how it shall be in 2027. Personally, I'd say, like I said yesterday, it's not going to be peaceful. It's going to be very chaotic. I've been saying this, I think, since 2023 or 2024. The 2027 elections are not going to be peaceful. It's already chaotic, as we can see. Already police brutality, as much as he's talking about police brutality as if he cares, police brutality is actually very much active right now. I'm trying to understand the agenda, because they're really arresting people for no reasons, brutalizing young people for no reason, just killing as well for no reason. The police brutality in this country actually has increased. And most of the people are saying, well, we might be headed towards Uganda way, where Ruto actually wants to rule with a serious iron fist. And he doesn't give a shit who gets hurt, gets rid of anyone who's trying to get on his way with the iron fist. But we're going to see how the elections actually will literally be conducted. But as we continue, we also have much more
to an economic,
at least positive news coming from Burkina Faso. And this is about them literally launching their own electric vehicle. I think it was just last week we were talking about how Africa, we get poor, very much used means of transport, like literally backward shit. That's what these white people always import back to Africa. There's nowhere where Africa or most of the African countries that say we don't produce anything. Literally, we don't produce anything. But at least Burkina Faso again is here to prove us wrong that Africa has the capability of doing it.
Economic upturn amid rising demand for electric vehicles in other African markets. Here's Ian Kinyua with the details.
Burkina Faso imports an average of 60,000 cars a year. Like many other African countries, it is a major consumer of second-hand units. But in recent weeks, vehicles of a different kind have been circulating.
Imagine, it's like we are a dumping site. Like it's always like we are a dumping site, literally, where we just get all the residues of the rest of the people. What people have used, they're tired of, whatever has been broken. Let that shit go to Africa. It's really, really a sad state of image for us to be in.
In the capital,
The fact that we're the producers of actually these things that make the most poorest second-hand shit, it's it's very
of Ouagadougou. These are electric vehicles produced by local manufacturer Itoa. According to the firm, their model boasts impressive features with a range of 330 kilometers on a single charge that can be achieved in just 30 minutes. Despite combustion-powered vehicles dominating the market, many consumers are making the switch.
Vu les explications que j'ai eu à avoir sur les véhicules économiques.
Given the explanations I've had about electric and solar vehicles, in terms of savings, we get 4,000 francs a week. Its maintenance is less expensive. You don't need to pay for oil filters, and you don't need to change the oil.
Experts say
yeah, so literally
it could lead to an economic upturn amid rising demand.
very cheap to produce. Literally, would say it's cheap to produce in the country because the same Burkina Faso share diplomatic ties since 1960, with both nations prioritizing that is Burkina Faso and Ibrahim Traore. Burkina Faso, okay. Burkina Faso share diplomatic ties since 1960, with both nations prioritizing regional stability, democratization, human rights, and economic development. U.S. interests also include countering terrorism. I don't know what this is all about. Literally, I'd say this is the relationships between Burkina Faso and I'd say America, but not what is really important. So again, they're here showing us that actually we can do it. We have a possibility of creating something that is our own. We don't need to wait on white people to come and help us. We don't need to wait on the residuals or the leftovers that people give us every single time. When will we start creating our very own? And this, it actually makes even things very cheaper. It's crazy because as much as we import in second-hand cars, I can imagine how expensive it is when it comes to the taxes. Now imagine locally producing this. Imagine tapping into the youth, because there's so many, especially young men, even women. I've seen women who want to become literally engineers and all that. Imagine tapping into the young people and literally funding their skills, because we have so many young innovators who come up with literally different and cheap ways of surviving. You don't need to go back to the white man's bucket, or always begging for things that actually and then you get leftovers. It's really, really crazy. But as we continue and as we get into our main discussion, which is, I'd say, Nigeria, again, which I'd say totally talks about corruption. We have this video. I want to share this video very quickly of this lady, again, talking about how Nigeria is going to be a major world's biggest economies, literally. That is by 2050. But when I was listening to this, my head clicked and I was questioning myself, how will Nigeria manage to do this? I mean, you look at the current situation of the governance in that country, the resources, the amount of resources being stolen in the country, the disorganization of that country. And it's not just Nigeria, it's majority of the countries, literally. The same thing, that's the same BS we had Ruto telling us how we can make Kenya Singapore. We can't. We're very, way far from becoming a Singapore. First, deal with the Kiberas, the slums you have. Give us at least proper roads. Use our finances, our taxes correctly. But they can't even do the bare minimum, talking about how and comparing us with other countries that developed, I don't know when, literally when we were acquiring independency and all that. You know, it doesn't make sense. If you look at Nigeria, for me, and I'd say maybe from those who are listening, you can let me know. How do you think Nigeria can become, or how will Nigeria manage to become the world's biggest economies? And especially with the current state of leadership, or the same pattern of leadership that we have as a continent: corruption at the top notch, lack of accountability at the top notch, lack of responsibility always at the top notch, stealing literally everything on the back, all of it. There's no organization. There's literally, like kids said, we don't have working institution. Like literally, we're talking about failed institution. So how do we become the best working institution just in a span of 20 years or 15 years? For me, I feel like it's quite impossible, but let's listen to her.
The biggest economy in the world by 2050. Its GDP could hit around $15 trillion by mid-century and become the third largest globally. That statement was made by Boris Kodjoe. And when I saw it, instead of blindly agreeing or dismissing it, I thought, let me test it. First, let's ask, what does biggest economy even mean?
Exactly.
Total GDP, GDP per person, or purchasing power parity. Most long-term forecasts use purchasing power parity, which measures domestic production strength. In those models, China and India dominate. India has like 1.4 billion people and is projected firmly in the top 3. Nigeria enters the chat because the UN projects the population could exceed 400 million by mid-century. Scale moves rankings. Now today, Nigeria's GDP is roughly $450 to $500 billion. GDP per capita sits around $2,000 to $2,500. But over 40% live below the poverty line and inflation has been elevated. The average Nigerian is just not yet seeing large income gains. To overtake major economies would require decades of sustained productivity growth. Now, here's the real debate. I read my comments. I see the frustration. And people ask all the time, how can you call it development if ordinary people suffer more in the short term? Excellent question, right?
Yes, she did, John Mosquito and Karibu Sana. Yes, she did.
Growth built on hardship shifts the burden onto the poorest. That concern is really valid. Reforms like subsidy removal and currency adjustments create pressure in the short term. Higher transport costs, higher food prices, businesses squeezed. And then the question is whether that pain turns into productivity or just lingers. Are savings reinvested? Do reforms strengthen exports? Or does the pressure remain without structural gain? These steps are early stage and results depend on execution. Bank recapitalization strengthens lending. Diaspora remittances inject billions in external capital. Digital finance is expanding the formal economy. The Dangote refinery and major ports increase domestic production capacity. Human capital investment in education and skills will determine whether productivity per worker rises. Africa expands market access. These are foundations, and continuity matters. Long-term growth depends on sustained policy direction across administrations. Countries like South Korea transformed because reforms held beyond election cycles. If Nigeria maintains direction on fiscal reform, currency transparency, and export expansion over the next 15, 20 years, the compounding effect becomes powerful. At 8% annual growth, an economy roughly doubles every 9 years. That's compound arithmetic. So is it guaranteed? No. But is it feasible? Yes.
Exactly.
If productivity per person rises and reforms are sustained, Nigeria has the scale, the youth, the market, the diaspora capital, execution and continuity decide the outcome. Let's talk in the comments. What are your thoughts?
Exactly. I literally totally agree with that, because it's literally these leaders just wake up and tell us how they're giving us again the American dream just out of nowhere. And then you look at the countries they're talking about and how they have been managed, how currently they are being managed as they talk, what they have done. And you're like, nah, you're just bluffing, literally. That, again, bollocks, you're just bluffing. You're not going to do it. So literally it has to, for me, I'd say in simple words of understanding, accountability, literally. You have to end corruption. Again, like you said, we have to go back to the same things, the video I was sharing, I think, on Friday. We need to start manufacturing. It's a lot we need to do for most of the African countries to get to us talking about a greater development or world's biggest economies. It's not going to take still having corrupt leaders, Tinibus, giving yachts to their wives, literally stealing massive lands, and majority of the people sinking in poverty. That will not happen. And then looking at literally still again the current state of Nigeria, even to make it even worse. So currently we have Nigeria, which has been granted the US military base. And of course, we know we had the Alliance Sahel state, which kicked literally these people out, and that they say they don't want anything to do with them, including even the French military as well, the UN peacekeepers. All these organizations literally were kicked out of the Alliance Sahel state. The main reason, which is why they need to come back again. We saw the video which was indicating, which Keith made me share, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, where they're going to deal with leaders who are not, again, working with them. So currently, again, Nigeria has granted the US military, has been granted the US military base. But let's understand why. And we know why. This is because of the Alliance Sahel state.
Today, we re-dive deep into a topic that has been making waves across...
This is the same country that is supposed to become the world's best economy, right? The world's biggest economy by 2050. With this amount of corruption,
national policy circles. But as you aren't getting enough mainstream attention, the presence of foreign military bases in Africa, specifically the recent developments with the US drone base in Nigeria. What does this mean for Nigeria, for the wider region, and for the continent's long-term sovereignty? Let's break it down. First, let's get the facts straight. The United States has operated a major drone base, Air Base 201, in Agadez, Niger, 4 years. This base has been a critical hub for surveillance and counterterrorism operations against groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda affiliates in the Sahel region. However, following a military coup in Niger last year, the new leadership has demanded that US troops leave the country. This has forced Washington to look for a new home for its strategic assets, and Nigeria has emerged as a potential, and some say probable, new host. So, why Nigeria? Geographically and strategically, it makes a lot of sense for the US. Nigeria is a regional powerhouse. It has the continent's largest economy and military, and it's centrally located to monitor the same threats the US was tracking from Niger. For the Nigerian government, hosting such a base could come with significant perks: advanced military technology, intelligence sharing, training for its armed forces, and a strengthened strategic partnership with a global superpower. On the surface, it seems like a win-win for combating the very real and devastating threat of terrorism that has plagued northern Nigeria for over a decade. But this is where the conversation gets much more complicated. The idea of a foreign military base on Nigerian soil has sparked a fierce debate within the country and across Africa. Critics, including many prominent Nigerian politicians and civil society leaders, are raising some serious red flags. Their primary concern is national sovereignty. They argue that allowing a foreign power to operate a military base on your land is a fundamental compromise of your independence. It creates a dynamic where a foreign nation's strategic interests can start to influence.
Which also makes me wonder which countries apart from the Alliance Sahel state are questioning this, because the same countries, majority, also have US military bases in their country, and most of them, I'd say, they're also bootlickers, like Nigeria, literally doing whatever the white man is always asking of you. So the only, I'd say, countries probably questioning this again, it's Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso.
Or even dictate your own country's foreign and domestic policy. Think about it. Who ultimately calls the shots from that base? If a drone strike is launched from Nigerian territory, but under US command, who is accountable for civilian casualties or mistakes? This isn't a theoretical question. We've seen the devastating impact of errant drone strikes in other parts of the world. It raises complex legal and ethical questions about jurisdiction and responsibility. The fear is that Nigeria could be drawn into conflicts that are not of its own making, simply by virtue of hosting the base. Then there's the security argument itself. Does a foreign drone base actually solve the root causes of insecurity? Many argue that it doesn't. Terrorism in the Sahel and northern Nigeria is fueled by a complex mix of poverty, political grievances, climate change, and weak governance.
We know that's not true.
A high-tech military approach, focused on surveillance and targeted strikes, can feel like putting a band-aid on a deep wound. It might eliminate individual threats, but it doesn't address the underlying conditions that allow these extremist groups to recruit and thrive in the first place. In fact, some analysts argue that a visible U.S. military presence could make things worse. It can become a powerful recruiting tool for extremist groups who frame their fight as a noble resistance against a foreign occupier or crusader. This narrative can attract new followers and escalate the conflict.
The question should start being, which African country has their military base anywhere in America? Like literally, let's talk about that. Even the they called the embassies. I don't know if that is, I think, a research I've not done clearly, but maybe you guys can help me. But do we even have embassies like in these other countries? I doubt it. Because, and if we did, and if we still have them, they still don't take us serious, because we see our people being abused in these countries. A good example, I'd say Russia. Do we have a Kenyan embassy in Russia? I don't know if we do. Let me see. I don't think we do, literally. I don't think we really do.
Turning a local insurgency into a regional theater for a global ideological battle. The very presence of the base could become a magnet for attacks, potentially destabilizing the host region even further rather than securing it. We also have to look at the historical context. Africa has a long and painful history with foreign powers meddling in its affairs. The colonial era left deep scars.
No, of course we don't. What we have is actually the Embassy of the Republic of Kenya. The Embassy of the Republic of Kenya in the Russian Federation, which was established in the...
And the Cold War saw the continent become a proxy battleground for the US and the Soviet Union, with devastating consequences for many nations. This history has created a deep-seated and entirely justified skepticism towards any form of foreign military presence. For many, a US base in Nigeria looks less like a partnership and more like a new form of neocolonialism, where strategic resources and locations are controlled by outside powers for their own benefit. This sentiment is echoed across the continent. The African Union has long-standing policies aimed at promoting African-led solutions to African problems. The goal is to build up the capacity of African militaries and regional bodies, like ECOWAS, to handle their own security challenges without relying on external actors. Welcoming a major foreign base seems to run directly counter to this spirit of Pan-African self-reliance and sovereignty. It sends a message that African nations are incapable of managing their own security, a narrative that many are working hard to dismantle.
That is true.
Let's consider the economic implications as well. While there might be some short-term economic benefits, like contracts for local suppliers or jobs on the base, these are often limited. The bigger picture involves the potential for economic dependency and the alignment of Nigeria's economic policies with US interests. Furthermore, the focus on a militarized solution can divert precious resources and political attention.
Nope, this is literally all to do with Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali. Like, this is very much evident. This is very much, and understand again, we had China, which gifted Nigeria the ECOWAS. The whole building literally was built already. It's already standing in Nigeria. I think I shared that news last week. They gifted Nigeria an ECOWAS whole building. For what? How is ECOWAS helping the West African countries? Not in any sort of way. This is all about, again, Africa, like I said, it shows Africa's incapability of ruling itself. That's how simple I'll put it. The incapability of us ruling ourselves, literally. And I said that even yesterday, or that was on Friday, when I was talking about why, if you look at the Kenya-Somali border being opened after 15 years, and still we've not come up with a proper strategy or solution on how we can deal with the so-called Al-Shabaab, the so-called ISIS or Al-Qaeda's. Literally, for us is Al-Shabaab before they change their names again, like they always do. We've not come up with a proper strategy on how we can handle this situation, despite having the border being closed 15 years ago. Now the fact that the border is open, there could be a possibility of insecurity, literally, or war. Imagine in Kenya, literally, not sure where, just saying, because just like Gachagua also said last year, we're just saying, literally. And allegedly, the fact that Ruto met with the Al-Shabaab's leader and all that, a lot could happen. So now we're going to be having also the US coming in to intervene like they always do. And then we're going to have German, because we've seen German interested in Kenya too. And then we're going to have France as well. Like, please.
Hawaii from much needed investments in development, education, healthcare, and job creation.
But it doesn't help. It doesn't help Joe Mosquito. It doesn't help. So I've seen we do. Actually, we do, but it doesn't help. Because the vice versa of this situation is, you see, like everywhere where the Americans are, they'll be warned by their embassy in case anything actually is about to happen in a certain country, right? If in case anything happens, the US embassy will always stand up for their citizens first. But when it comes to us Africans, as much as we could be having these embassies in these outside countries, literally outside Africa, they still don't stand up for their people. Because why do we have the Kenyan men still being recruited, or African men still being recruited to go and being talked shit to there? Being lied to about the jobs they're supposed to be getting there, only to find out you're supposed to be literally at war. And there's no coming back home. You come back home dead. The Kenyan government is not talking about that. The Kenyan embassy in Russia has not said anything. Like, gee, it's a joke for me.
That could build long-term stability and resilience against extremism. So, what's the alternative? Proponents of African-led solutions suggest a different path. Instead of hosting foreign bases, they advocate for partnerships that focus on capacity building. This means providing training, equipment, and intelligence support to Nigeria's own military so they can lead the fight effectively. It means focusing international aid on development projects that tackle the root causes of conflict. It means strengthening regional security cooperation through bodies like the African Union and ECOWAS, so that neighboring countries can work together to secure their borders and share intelligence. This approach is undoubtedly harder and takes longer. Building a nation's security capacity from the ground up is a generational effort, but the argument is that it's the only sustainable solution. It empowers nations instead of making them dependent. It respects sovereignty instead of compromising it, and it puts the focus on building a peaceful and prosperous future from within, rather than trying to impose security from the outside. The debate over the US drone base in Nigeria is not just about drones and terrorism. It's a debate about the future of Africa. It's a choice between two very different models of security and international relations. One model relies on partnerships with global powers, accepting the trade-offs to sovereignty for the sake of immediate military advantage. The other model champions self-reliance, regional cooperation, and a holistic approach that links security with development and good governance. As this situation unfolds, it's crucial for us to watch closely and understand all sides of the issue. The decision Nigeria makes will have profound implications not just for its own 200 million people, but for the security architecture of the entire African continent. It is a defining moment that will tell us a lot about the direction Africa is heading in the 21st century.
We're not heading anywhere. We're not heading anywhere. We're still stuck in the same old behaviors. I don't think we're heading anywhere, as a matter of fact. I don't know.
What are your thoughts on this? Do you think
I thought we're not heading anywhere.
hosting a US drone base is a pragmatic solution for Nigeria?
No.
Or a dangerous step backward for its sovereignty?
For a very big backward step for Africa's independency. A very big backward step for Africa's independency. That would be my answer.
Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one, and I am really curious to hear your perspectives on this complex topic. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this video informative and thought, please give it a thumbs up.
Yeah, so literally, again, so you look at the decisions Nigeria is making, and then we go back to it becoming the world's biggest, again, economy by 2050. Doesn't it sound like a joke to you? I feel like for me, it really sounds like a really, really big joke. I don't think, again, with still having the same type of leadership or leaders, corruption, being on the top notch, same old behaviors, there's nothing different. There's nothing that is going to change for majority of the African countries. It's not even just Nigeria. There's nothing that is going to happen to majority of the African countries, because each African country has its own potential. Literally, we have we have massive wealth. We talk about resources. Each African country is blessed in different ways, or I'd say similar ways. How have we managed to use all this not in any way to benefit ourselves? That's literally what I'd say. But on the last conversation of the day, as we come to the end of today's conversation, we're going to talk about Niger and Algeria, which has announced the start of a new dynamic after the pipeline talks in Algiers. Let me actually share that very quickly as we get closer to winding up.
The head of Niger's military junta has declared the start of a new dynamic with Algeria. General Abdelrahman Tiani met with Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune in Algiers on Monday to announce the construction of a new gas pipeline. Tebboune said the visit marked the end to an abnormal period of chilliness between the two countries. In April, Algeria shot down a drone from Mali, a member of the Alliance of Sahel states to which Niger and Burkina Faso also belong. The new pipeline runs from Algeria to Nigeria and will cross the territory of Niger. Initial steps are due to start after Ramadan. Algeria last week sent a delegation to Burkina Faso to discuss mining and hydrocarbons, but ties with Mali are still strained.
Well, it's a really good move, but I'd still say watch your back. Literally, those are not the people to be smiling with. Watch your back, because their intention, interests, all literally are the same. Again, and I believe they're the same people. They're the same people. Their interests, they're all the same. So you need to watch your back. Literally, that's what you need to do, because this could be, it's a good move maybe for their whole Alliance Health state, but it could be also a move that might get you back into these traps by just collaborating with these countries and not understanding on the other end the deals they have with these other countries like the US, China, or Russia. So it's a good move, but you need to watch your back, because currently I'd say the Alliance Health state is the target. That is what they're looking forward to ensure that they get in and they destroy all the stabilization that the three presidents have actually brought back into the country. But still looking at Nigeria as we wind up, we have dozens of troops who have been deployed. That is to help with the training. So you can see, as much as we have the US military base, which is already set, we have troops, I'd say, from different African countries who are there to be trained, as if we can't train ourselves. It's crazy. Again, it's giving the incapability of Africans governing themselves. You always need a white man to be your savior, to show you the ways, and as if we were not warriors back then, as if we didn't fight wars back then. You know, it's really, really crazy. Karibu sana, Keith. How are you doing today?
Shanti Sana. That's exactly what it is. That's why everything is all Western. See all that? That's all British, and and they turned Nigeria worse. You go back 30 years, Nigeria was a more functioning state. They turned Nigeria into a basket case because of its population. They wanted to see Nigeria was scheduled to be a power, was going to be a power, even more powerful than China. But remember, that destroys their racial pyramid scheme. Blacks must be on the bottom. So since you have immoral people, shout out to that guy. Said same thing I said with that I think that Nigerian guy be listening to. Everything's not a coincidence. I told you most of the people in Africa that they put in charge were part of slave, or their family goes back to the damn working and collaborating with the Europeans to help destroy Africa. And you go back, shout out to the guy that said that no, some other guy, he's living in Kenya. He's black, he's living in America, he's living in Kenya now. That's right. If you go back and trace these people, you'll see that most of these people that they put in power, around power, they're all in Africa. They were all the house Negroes. They were all the Uncle Tom house Negroes. And they're all the collaborators. That's not laughing. Yeah.
That's how I'm asking. Maybe I'd ask you because you just joined in, but I was also talking about we have a famous saying or quote, I'd say information, I don't know how to put it, but whereby Nigeria is destined to become the world's biggest economy by 2050. Do you think actually it has the capability? And if you look at, I'm asking that because according to the video I was just sharing, literally the same lady is talking about it the same way, according to the thought I had, literally. I'd say because of the corruption, the bad governance, the inequality, everyone living on a hand-to-mouth situation.
But it could be, but it got turned. It had to turn. It had to be destroyed. It had to be conquered. It's too. What they've created now, the Europeans creating in Nigeria is completely. It doesn't. It's non-functional. Doesn't work. So you got the most corrupt people who don't care about Africans in there to make sure white people stay wealthy off of you. So until they have a real revolution, they could, but they could turn around quickly because, like every African, they have all the things they need to become a world power.
Sure.
But you know, they got corruption, then they got the ignorance. They have to bring the people. You got to have a revolution first. You got to get rid of it. You got to get rid of the system in Nigeria. You got to get rid of the system, and you have to, sadly, guys, got to unalive a lot of people. In the same way, China, a lot of Nigerians just got to go. They're just sorry, they got to go. They can't. Their mind. They can't be saved. Then you got to restructure your educational system. Can't be about your group of religion. Don't get rid of religion because they can't, because they're not mature enough to. Africa's not mature enough to get rid of that religion. Oh, go crazy. Keep the religion, but tone it down. It's okay. You want to do your religion. It can't be part of the government. Can't be in the schools. And if you want to do it, okay, we'll have these churches. It's gonna be like
Rwanda.
We're gonna most of the churches got to go. Got to have education if you want to go ahead and do these church things. Can't everybody be a preacher and all that. So you got to tap down on the Islam nonsense and the Christian nonsense. You got to tap down. Africa's got to come out of the religious nonsense. This is true. So if that happens, they got the big enough population, and they can you can educate your people, Job, in one generation. Say with a white man, white man got everybody all messed up when they came to Africa. They didn't mess the old people. People was forgetting when Europeans came to colonize Africans. The older people that they came in, they didn't accept none of the shit they were saying. What? We don't accept none of this stuff you're talking about. So they murdered them off, and they took their children to which is your great granddaddy, who were the children who didn't know nothing. So they took them to their schools, started teaching them the white man's your God, and Jesus your God, and this is how you're gonna do things. This no matter what. So Africans got to be brutal to take back their own children. Get rid of all that. You got to get rid of the whole curriculum because it teaches you self-hate, lies, keeps you impoverished. And you got to give, and like I said, it's going to be a lot of bubble because the people at the top in Nigeria are all, and it's not corruption, they're evil. Okay, and the Europeans have set up a system with all your leaders, like in Kenya. They're not corrupt, they're evil guys. The difference between being just corrupt, they're evil. Because not to develop Africa, not to give Africa good hospitals and decent schools in this time and period. You go back and look at African schools, look like it's some shit from 300 years ago. That's evil. It's not corruption. That's evil. Because you can't justify living on the richest continent and have this kind of nonsense going on. It's not corruption. It's evil. So you got to be able to call, you got to be honest with definitions. So even Torres Westgate called it what I call it. It's evil. It's not corruption. It's evil. For this country, Nigeria, which is wealthy, it's wealthy. People eat bush meat. I have no nothing oil. I'm not trying to be fun with the bush. I'm not just enough with the bush meat stuff. Okay, and all the minerals, things that have it should be wealthy, should be willpower. It's evil, guys. These people are evil. God, how can you? Okay, Joe, just give me. You're a leader, right? You're not perfect, but okay, you get into your goofy fancy car, you drive through your country, and you see your people living hand to mouth, and you know that your country's wealthy. You know it. They don't got good hospitals, they suffering, and you decide you don't do nothing about it. As long as you get your little bit of bread comes, you get your little thing off a master's table, right? Keeps you living good. That's not corruption. That's evil. Because you know that Africa, no way you don't know now. Even if you're a moron.
I always, it's the same thing I always wonder. You just look at, because making these countries how we wish them to be, it's not really that expensive the way these people always act like it's expensive. Because most of the people's actually justification of or defending these leaders, most of the people always say, or fixing this country, even if it was you can't do it. I'm like, you can do it. You have the funds, you have the resources. It's not like you have to go all the way to Uganda or to Ethiopia or to US to get the resources. You have everything right here. You have the money. So these people just choose not to do it.
So what you just said, other Africans don't know that. But you said
it's very easy for me for that to become popular. And even if I choose to actually stay as a president for 20 years, just saying, but if I choose to stay a president even for 20 years, I'm doing something for you all. You can literally see it. There's good hospitals, there's schools, there's roads, there's water. Right now, I've just seen, I don't know, something to do with the US has bought the Kenyan water. I'm yet to literally look into that. I'm like, what, our water?
Whoa. That's a no-go. It's an evil shit then. Understand, how's Ibn Turayn 3 years in power, and when supposedly one of the poorest there's no such thing as a poor African country, first of all, but one of the poorest African countries is now building everywhere. And it's not AI. It's not AI. Okay, they've been going to Bikini Faso and seeing it, showing them with real video that there's a building boom in Africa. How? Because he's taking back his power, his money that belongs to. See, Africa's undeveloped because white man came in, it was stealing all their money. The money's leaving the countries. Like Joby said, you need Africa need to go to nobody. I think all these African keep going all these goofy summits all the time. If Africa wasn't important, they wouldn't have Africans always going to these summits, this summit, this summit, this summit. Because everybody needs, without Africa, the world doesn't work. See, that's what you're supposed to be taught in your school. You're supposed to be taught this as a kid. Without Africa, the world's the world. That's why this poor Russian guy, Russia's poor. This poor Russian guy can come into Africa and sleep with all these women. Because they don't even know that Russia's a poor country. They don't even know that. He's a white man. Do you know Russia's poor? You know Russia's a poor country? Do this for me real quick, Joey.
Yeah.
Let's see. What's the average monthly salary in Russia? Let's see what it is. I bet it's less than what you make. I bet. What's the average? And understand, Google's gonna lie, so it's gonna be like 5 times less than what they tell you.
They're saying that as of late of 2024, early 2025, the average monthly salary in Russia surpassed 80,000 to 90,000 rubles. That is $850 to $1,000.
That's a lie. That right there's a lie. So they deliver. So I would say you cut that. So most people are making less than Joby. They're making about $400. So they're making about less than Joby makes almost. So see, it's an impoverished country, but you don't know that because you just see white. They're a poor country. Even with them statistics, that's poverty. And you couldn't live with that $800 a month in America. What? $800 a month? I could, if I made that in 1 week, I'd be like, man, I'm fucking broke. I don't pay all these bills.
It's crazy. It's really crazy. But we can do better. Again, I don't know. But I believe, like I said, personally, Burkina Faso is showing us we can do better as a continent. We have the resources, we have the capability. We just need good leadership. Again, leaders with accountability, responsibility, and inclusivity of the people, because that is needed. You can't just be choosing your big 5 people to always be working for you. You need to include the youth. The youth have the potential. Like we've seen, Burkina Faso currently has launched their electric vehicles, and this is actually coming from the youth, which is being funded again because the government is willing to support you. This makes it even easier and cheaper for you because they're saying most of the countries we import secondhand. Again,
listen, I'm still going to Kenya. We're still going to Kenya. Check this out. It's so disrespectful. I'm still going to Kenya, right? It's like, it would tell you a car that was new was 10 years old in Kenya. Like, what? This new car, 2013. What? 2023. How's this car new? it's the disrespect. You get some old jalopy, and the price is high, and it's 10 years old. You know, Africa, you can make your own vehicle. Same way Bikini Faso is doing. It's already the AI. They're already producing on the road. They're already on the road. So the things to make sure you don't manufacture, you don't develop. That's the scam, guys. They got you thinking. They got you with an inferiority complex that you can't do anything. You got to get over that. You got to get over the self-doubt, the self-hatred. That they make sure they put that all Africa everywhere. So that's the plan. Make sure you stay impoverished and looking up to them, and so you don't need anybody.
It's crazy, but we're gonna wrap it up there, family. That has been my time with you guys, and those have been our discussion. For those who shall be catching this on a replay or joining right now, kindly watch this on a replay on YouTube and on BitChute, so you can listen to it via Spreaker or Spotify and the Black Hot Fire Network. Shout out to John Mosquito for being with us. Byron Scott, I also see you. John Mosquito says bushmeat is well known all over America right now, and he can't go a day on TikTok without hearing.
You got that right. That's because of Tariq. Tariq, the things on TikTok are crazy. John Mosquito, Black Americans who are ignorant, Africa is coming at them. Yes, it's been disrespect, and it's gonna have to be dealt with. You Africans, I told you. You come from cultures where you hate on each other, you backbite. And so when you brought that here, and for 20 years, 25, 30 years, African Americans have get you in and try to help you. Now they've turned against you, and I think it's wrong. But you brought your tribalism shit here. And no, we're not tribal people. You brought that dirtbag behavior where you hate on everybody and want to undermine other tribes. You don't do that, So you can't be right. It's like 100 damn things on TikTok, John Mosquito, with these chat rooms calling you Africans and your dirty bush meat. God damn.
They need to be specific. They need to call out Nigerians, not Africans. Now that we need to be. Don't say Nigerians.
They're too stupid to know that, Joey.
We don't do no bushmeat here. Like
they're too stupid. They're too stupid. They don't know. They're too stupid. They put Africans in one big clump, so they don't know. They said you Africans and your bushmeat and your bad schools. You don't have rights.
In Kenya, if you're found literally killing or eating a dog, that's a death for you. Like, you're gonna be beaten to the morgue, like to the mortuary straight up, because you're trying to feed who a dog. Like, literally don't know how many people who have been beaten for trying to do that. Of course, there are people who are trying to do that. Yes, so selling the meat on the street, and you don't know what you're eating. And until people now come discover, oh shit, this person has been killing dogs. You beaten to death. Like, what are you doing? You what? Oh my God!
So understand, people on TikTok, not Kenya. Don't get in the bush. But let's say all Africans, you bush eating bastards want to come over and talk your shit.
Right? Tell them to stop destroying our names as Africans. It's Nigerians. It's the Abaganistan stuff. But much love, family. Have yourselves a beautiful rest part of your morning, and see you on the.
Is this the data?
No, the internet has been fixed.
The game is pretty good for data shit.
They came during, I think, or after Shmani's show. They had called me, then they came and fixed it.
Oh, the Irritan and Kamlesh show up?
Kamlesh didn't show up. I don't know what's up. He has not communicated.
Well,
He's not picking up his phone.
He didn't tell you Monday he wasn't gonna make it Monday either.
Yesterday he said he was traveling back to Nairobi. So
don't worry about it.
Yeah. So much love, family. Have yourselves a beautiful day. Peace, and we're out.